Happy Easter weekend, spring 2021. Today I am harvesting some of the honey from my hives back here in the yard, and I wanted to give you a quick honey science lesson and show you one of the tools that I use to make sure that the honey is fit to go into the bottles that I get to share with people. You'll notice on this frame, well, I've got a visiting bee keeping us company, but you'll notice that a number of the cells of this frame have this wax capping that is basically, these are full of honey, it's ready to go. The bees will put this wax capping on the cell once it's full, but they also want to make sure that the honey is actually what we want to refer to as honey, meaning that the moisture content is low and the sugar content of the honey is high. What do we mean by that? Typically, when a bee forages and goes and grabs nectar from flowers and plants, etc., most of that nectar is, let's say, 80% water, 20% sugars. I'm just making up stats to sound smart. But they bring it back to the hive, deposit it into these cells, and they'll spend some time dehydrating that nectar to where the ratio flip-flops. Now you got about 80% sugars to 20% water or less, ideally less than 20%. So when it's capped like this, I know that I can harvest it, bottle it, and I'm probably going to be good to go. I'm not going to have a problem with the honey fermenting or spoiling. But whenever you have this many cells on a frame that are uncapped, and if I flip this over, well, you'll see another bee on this side. Hello. Most of the cells on this side are not capped. Well, I want to make sure that this is still good for harvesting purposes, and so I'm going to use a tool to help me do that, and this is something called a refractometer. A refractometer allows us to basically take some of the honey, put it on this little blue slide, cover it with the plastic, and then I can look through this eyepiece, and there's a little scale in here that tells me what the water content of that honey is. And so I'm just going to show you how I do that, because I don't know, it's just part of the fun, I guess. So I'm just going to go ahead and lift this thing open, and I'm not going to test the cells that are already covered here, but I'm just going to take a little toothpick and I'm going to kind of dab it into some of these cells, just kind of a random assortment of some of these guys, get some of the honey on the toothpick, and sorry, video quality may suffer here just because I'm going to try to get enough of the honey on here. And I'm just going to, once again, just kind of get it on this toothpick, then I'm going to rub it. I want to fully cover this blue plate just to make sure that I have enough honey to sample. And once that's done, you lick the toothpick, because you just got to do that. Don't reuse the toothpick to do this experiment. I'm going to cover this with the plate. Now, what am I looking for? I mentioned earlier, you want to have maybe 80% sugars, 20% water. That's a really generic way of processing it. For me, I like seeing my honey anywhere around 17, 18% of water content or less. The less water, the thicker the honey. I like thick honey. Some honeys can be closer to that 19 or 20%. I'm going to try to sound really smart here, but I'm totally making this based on observation. It may be true. I can't prove it yet. But in the spring, right now, this is the orange blossom harvest. And I have found in the last 4 or 5 years of beekeeping that my spring honeys tend to be thicker. They have a water content of 16.5 to 17, give or take. When I harvest honey in the summer, those are usually the palmetto honeys. Well, summer in Central Florida, it's humid, it's hot, and it's also a different nectar source altogether. I find that those palmetto honeys can tend on the 18, 19, 19.5% moisture content. They run more. If somebody says, hey, tell me about your orange blossom versus palmetto. Orange blossom's thick, it's sweet. Palmetto can be sweet, but it's going to run off your biscuit a lot faster. It's also more likely to ferment just because of that higher moisture content. So anyway, let me take a quick peek. I'm just going to look through here, and lo and behold, we're looking at about 16.5. I'm going to try something. I'm going to see if I can show you. So bear with me here. Let's see. So we're looking into the eyepiece, and you see the scale there. So you have honey and water as the scale there on the right, and you'll notice that the blue line is right at about 16 and a half, 17, a little bit less than that. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want to see this honey at. And so I can now take this entire frame and I can extract honey out of this and know that it's got a proper moisture content, even though it doesn't have the wax capping covering all of it. So anyway, that's just kind of a fun little tool. How does this work? I have no idea, but it does. It's pretty cool. So anyway, just wanted to show you that, and hope you, if you don't enjoy some of my honey, I hope you find a local beekeeper and enjoy some of their fresh orange blossom honey this year, because local honey is so much better than what you find in the grocery store. Just trust me on that. And if you don't believe me, just let me know and I'll just give you some honey so you can prove it out for yourself. All right, thanks so much. Talk to you later.